Hey guys, welcome back. A few things before we get started. As usual, today we are actually doing an OMNIA radiation balancer 6-pack giveaway. And it's easy. All you have to do is email journeytotruthpodcast@gmail.com with your name, your full name, and phone number if you want. And we will randomly pick a winner. And you can't tell here, but this is the 6-pack of patches. And if you would like a chance to win that, just email us and we will choose a winner within the following few days. And if you want an OMNIA product, patches or dependent, which Aaron and I are both wearing, they're actually amazing. I just started wearing mine. I actually really love it. They've been getting a lot of great reviews. All the OMNIA merchandise is 10% off with promo code TRUTH, all caps, and that link is below in the description. The Merlin's Lab pyramids, which are also amazing. The 20% sale is over. It is a 10% discount code now, and that code is Journey to Truth, all caps. And that link is below in the description as well. They're awesome pyramids. There's a number of different sizes, different price ranges for everybody. Anything else as far? Hopewell Farms CBD, that 20% sale is over. Also, it's back to 10%, and that promo code, I think, is Journey to Truth 10. That's also in the description below. So if you're looking for some new CBD to try, I highly recommend it. Tonight, we are joined by our local friend, St. Louis native, Lily Nova. She is a contactee experiencer. She has what Aaron and I like. She's like the Peter Slattery of contactees as far as she gets incredible footage and photographs, and we're going to go over some of that tonight. And it's quite amazing, actually. It's kind of the similar story with Peter. She gets pinged, goes outside, starts filming. She knows where to point the camera. We'll let her explain all that to us, but it's really next level footage. Some of it's really amazing, and we're going to get into a lot of that. You can find her on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. We'll put all those links below as well. Welcome to the show, Lily.
Hi, it's wonderful being here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
It was actually Aaron who brought you to my attention. You were on Order of Light with Robert, and that interview was amazing. And it was like, wow, she's capturing all this footage in St. Louis, and here I'm seeing nothing, Well, sometimes I do see stuff.
You see some stuff.
Yeah, I do. But
yeah, there's a lot going on in St. Louis. There is a lot going on in St. Louis for sure.
There's more than you'd think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's the case everywhere, really. But it's not until we start focusing on it, you start capturing stuff like that. So before we get into all that stuff, can you let us know like how you even stumbled into this field of photographing UFOs? Like, was there a major catalyst? What did that look like?
So when COVID hit, so this is fairly kind of new to me. It's happened over the last 2 years, and it just like skyrocketed immediately. When COVID hit, I turned to the stars and I started going out and shooting astrophotography, which is taking photos of the night sky. And within a couple months of getting into that, I had my first UFO encounter, and it was a very close encounter. I was on my front porch. I just stepped outside for a minute in like St. Louis, St. Peter's area, so in the suburbs, and there was a craft hovering over my neighborhood. An orange light appeared down the street, and I looked at it for a second, and whenever I turned my head back, there was a large diamond-shaped craft. I could see the lights going across it. It was only probably a few houses down, and I was bending my neck looking up at it, and it went side to side, up, down, and then came straight to me and disappeared above my head. And that just rocked my world. I was like, did that just really happen? That was kind of like my intro. And then after that, I think they gave me a little bit of time to integrate that. And then they just started popping up left and right. And I was there with my camera. And I'm curious. So I just started documenting it. And then it became like a daily thing.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So fast forward to date, like roughly how many sightings have you had? How many have you caught on film or photograph?
I'm still going through the footage, honestly, like, especially last summer. Last summer, that's when I realized. So like last winter, I'm catching them, I'm investigating them. I turn into like a UFO investigator. I wasn't a UFO person before this, but I was like, I'm figuring this out. There's something weird going on here.
Yeah.
So, I was just like studying and researching and investigating. And then I realized that I could initiate contact with them. And that's when just everything changed. It became a very personal and intimate relationship. And I was initiating contact with them every day, all last summer. I kind of chilled out as it got cold over Christmas. And around Christmas time, I focused more on meeting them through meditation. But yeah, I was literally going out every day, making contact, catching things on camera. There's footage that I still like. My computer is just a mess. It's just filled with footage I need to like sift through.
Wow.
So a lot.
Right.
So a lot.
So that's actually important to go back into. You're initiating this contact, which what some people refer to as CE5, which that's what that means. Close encounters of the fifth kind, which is you initiating contact. So how does that work? What do you do? Like, do you set an intention? Like, you can't just haphazardly go about this because you don't know what you're calling in. Like, what is your protocol? How does that look? And then I want to get into like who you've been connecting with.
Yeah. So you definitely want to be specific about who you would like to connect with. I haven't had like a negative ET or like there was something that weird that happened in the beginning. It was the second time I tried initiating contact. I was with other people, other astrophotographers, and some of them weren't cool with it. And I kind of had an iffy feeling about it. And I think that they were afraid. So then we ended up having some poltergeist activity that night. Some weird stuff happened. I think that was just a big lesson that you want to be specific and don't be with people. If you're doing it in a group setting, be with like-minded people who are open to it and just have a positive mindset with it.
Yeah, so I think it's actually really important to be specific when you do a CE5 because we've had so many people we know have negative experiences, and if you just haphazardly go about it, it can be dangerous. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And so since then, how have you course corrected? You just make sure you're with the right people. Like, what type of intention do you specifically set?
Yeah, exactly. You want to set the intention that you are only connecting with beings of the highest love and light, positive beings, and don't do it with people who are afraid or who are just, you could probably pick up on the vibe if it's not a good idea. And also being in a positive state. If you're upset or angry, don't do that. Make sure you're in a high vibe state, relaxed, and being in kind of like a blissful state is really good. And those are kind of like the key things.
Right. Whenever we're at any conference doing a Skywatch, ESETI, when everybody's laughing, having a good time, it seems like we're seeing all kinds of craft, and there'll be 200 people there. And as the group gets smaller, as the night goes on, the very last group of people that's hanging out usually has the most profound sightings, because energetically, like you said, it actually matters. So that's just really important to remember. Yeah. Just go out there and have a good time with it.
Yeah, that's another thing. So and they've kind of like taught me this lesson. There's been nights where I'd go out and, I wanted it to happen too badly that they just wouldn't show up because you're like wanting it too bad. But if you just kind of relax and don't really have an attachment to it, what really helped with me was getting into a flow state. So I started doing CE5s every day. I switched from nighttime to sunset time, and sunset seems to be a really good time to do it. They were like pretty active. But I would just start playing around on my camera, taking pictures of the sunset, getting into that flow state after I set the intention. I want to make contact, inviting, I call them star family. And as soon as I got into that flow state, things would happen. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Aaron, you talk about that a lot as far as like when you want something so much, you actually create lack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it has to do with the vibration that you're in and what you're putting out. So you're actually creating a separation there by like wanting it too much. Yeah. Cause you're basically putting out that you don't have something, and that goes into the law of attraction, law of the universe is like that, you body the what you want, rather like become it, rather than like I really really want this thing, because what you're putting out is like I really really don't have.
Yeah, exactly. It does have a lot to do with manifestation, really.
Yeah, so it's like a similar thing to that, in my opinion. So it's almost like you said, you just get in that flow state and you just get in a loving blissful state, and you're now a match to their vibration, and they're gonna show up, and then they're gonna be attracted to that energy as well, I'm sure. So
yeah, and there's a few other tricks. So I met somebody, his name's John Martin. I met him through TikTok, and he posts some of his stuff on YouTube too. He's like the older male version of me. He goes out and he makes contact like
nice
every night, and he has a night vision camera, and he has some phenomenal experiences, and also creating some sort of a routine with it is going to definitely help your chances. Like if you just do it once and then like stop. I was doing it every day.
Right.
nice.
When I had
awesome.
When I had the inner earth experience, that being phased into my basement, that's exactly what I was doing. And if anyone's heard me tell that story, I was so persistent, and I had a nightly ritual I was doing. And I think that's really important, because you're showing them that you're not just doing it, like you're serious about it. You're showing them that you're serious about it. Yeah. It makes a huge difference as far as, and don't get frustrated if you don't see anything. Like, don't go out there and like, oh, this is bullshit, throw your arms up. That doesn't work either. Like, be persistent.
The last thing they want is to be like a party trick where it's like on a whim, you just, oh, hey guys, look, I can make crap, if you're in like that kind of like mindset, I don't think, they don't. But if you're sincere and you just like want to connect, that's
100%. Yeah, they want you to put some effort into it. But some people do get lucky on their first try, though. But what I was going to say about my friend John Martin, how it started for him was he plays guitar. He's a musician. He would go outside and he would play music for the universe, and then UFOs just started coming. And now
that's amazing.
Now he communicates with them and does CE5 with them every single night, and he'll still play music. So doing something creative, somebody who I've done a star origin reading for recently, they it's kind of just like that channeling, like whatever is creative and can get you in that moment. So he does a lot of art, and I feel like they communicate with him that way. So there's different methods you can use, but
right. Yeah. Just being in that creative mindset. Okay. So let's get into some of these beings. I also want to get into some more of your sightings, but I also want to get into like, who have you gotten any information on who is on these crafts? I know you mentioned on an interview in the past, you had a vision with a blue skinned being or something like that. Could you tell us about that? And then what else you've discovered?
Yeah, those were, I became really closely connected with these beings. So the first time that I went out and did like CE5, where I'm like, they're not just going to like pop up. I'm setting the intention to make contact with them. Within 5 minutes of getting out of the car, a golden orb appeared, and it interacted, moved around to I'm trying to ask it questions and stuff. And then whenever I closed my eyes, it sent me a vision of a woman with light blue skin, and she had no hair, and she had a silver, like skin tight space uniform, and she had crew members behind her. And later on, I found out that she was Lyran, and these beings, I just became very closely connected with them. A telepathic communication began. they began sending me more visions as I began meditating. So the Lyrans, I had a huge relationship with. Then after a little bit, I also met Syrians, beings from Sirius, even feline beings, which I was like, whoa, those are real. They are real.
Right.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they're very real. And it's really interesting. I found out that I had a connection with Lyra when I was younger. There was a portion of my life, because I'm an artist, I like to draw. I was drawing feline beings. I was drawing Lyrans as I was growing up and making up storylines about them, cat heads, human bodies. And then I realized, oh, that's why I was doing that. I was subconsciously channeling that. So Lyrans, Syrians, Pleiadians, I have seen some inner earth people. What's interesting about the inner earth people that I originally saw, they reminded me very Native American vibes.
Oh, that's really interesting, because we've heard a lot of them have gone to inner earth through like Clifford Mahoody's testimony and stuff. Go ahead. Yeah.
I want to dig into that more, but that just struck me as kind of odd and just super interesting. The Lyrans have also showed me visions of Cahokia Mounds, which is around St. Louis. It's an ancient Native American site, the oldest city in North America, very ancient. Nobody knows where all the people went. They showed me visions of Cahokia Mounds, and we live like 40 minutes away from it.
Right.
They've shown me visions of Cahokia Mounds with the Native Americans in the field, like farming and whatnot, and Lyrans and Pleiadians there. It looked like they had a base there, and they had a base underground. Like the vision like took me underground under these tunnels. I do believe that there's still a base under Cahokia Mounds. And from that, and then later seeing inner earth people that very Native American like, I'm wondering if they took some of them down. Maybe that's where Cahokia Mounds went.
Wow.
Wouldn't doubt it.
So that's really interesting, because Clifford Mahoody's information, and we just talked about this on the last episode with Sue Walker, but they were in communication with the star people, and they, during like one of the cataclysms or whatever it was, they were actually brought underground to be saved, to be safe for whatever was happening on the surface. Cataclysm. Yeah. So, and that was in the like Grand Canyon area, Nevada, and all that stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if that happened all over the world. Yeah.
And the Native Americans were very close to the star people too. So.
Right.
We actually started doing a documentary on the Cahokia Mounds.
You guys need to finish that.
Right.
We need to. Yeah, I think I told you about that.
Well, so much.
Point we're gonna finish that and put it out.
I feel like it didn't happen for a reason, because a few different people now have information coming through about Cahokia Mounds that wasn't available at the time, and it's really interesting. So I feel like we can do a more complete version of what we were trying to accomplish before.
You're right. You're right. That's probably why.
So I think that might be in the works here soon, but we'll see about that. So whenever you communicate with these beings, is this like via meditation, telepathic communication, and what kind of messages are they giving you?
So in the beginning, so telepathic a lot, and it's kind of like a feeling. It's a combination of like a feeling, a thought, and just like a sudden kind of like paragraph of information. Sometimes I do get words as well. So a lot of it is very intuitive, and it comes with a feeling, just sudden knowings, claircognizant. And also I receive a lot of information through visions. So I began meditating, and that's when they began showing me these like old memories and old times, like prehistoric times. They showed me flying saucers with dinosaurs and the Cahokia Mountains thing. And I think, a war that was going on Earth a very long time ago. So they began showing me things like that. And I started meditating more, because I'm like, I want to see more of this. It was really cool seeing visions. So that's a big way that I communicate with them now, is through through visions and telepathic, images and stuff like that.
Right. And have they gave you any information or shared any advice with you on how to communicate with them better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually on my YouTube channel, I made a CE5, like how to make contact with UFOs, and my CE5 story. There's some of my footage in there, and it kind of runs down. Like I basically like channeled, I can see the paper right here, making contact, like a workshop channeling exactly how to do it. And a lot of it has to do with, setting the intention, putting some time and effort into it, raising your vibration, also healing. Honestly, like it can be a lot of work. They helped me through a lot of healing, but we all have cosmic beings that we are connected to. If you're interested in this, you have a connection with them. And, we all have guides that can assist us with this. And that just helps to raise the vibration, getting into a blissful state. You can meditate. I wasn't doing that in the beginning. If you step outside for 10 minutes each night, or just look up for 10 minutes each day, and set that intention and ask, you're bound to see something for sure. Crystals can also help. That's how they told me when the communication really picked up. They told me to contact them, to use a few crystals that I had to raise the vibration. And there's also some kind of like visualization techniques that I use, visualizing like a light coming down and connecting you, or shooting a light up. It's really interesting. Those types of visualization techniques and energy techniques are actually very, very powerful.
Yeah. And this is so important to know how to do this for one main reason. So many people in the community, the truther community, people are out there, they're like starving for knowledge. And they put themselves in a position where they're just relying on all these other truthers and channels for information. And they want certain individuals out there to give them the latest updates on what's going on, all this stuff. But if you do exactly what you just talked about, and you start creating that connection and that communication for yourself, you no longer need to rely on any external source for this information. And that's key right now, because there is so much deception and so many, we just don't know who to trust anymore. We don't know what's pure, because there's infiltration and there's counterintelligence operations in play right now. So it's very important that if you're doing this yourself, you can also fact check some of these other people who are claiming to have experiences, because now you have a direct line of communication where you can tap into this information and see if it resonates or not. So I think it's awesome that you just shared that, because I feel like that's the next step in how we get this information moving forward.
Yeah,
and I feel like we need to get more into our heart and out of our heads anyway. So many people, it's all about the information and that's it, and they're stuck in their head. It's like we need to get into our hearts, and that's how we're gonna,
right. That's
how we're gonna create the new earth from there, and not from logic and information and all that. Like,
right.
That's part of it, but that's not, if we're stuck there, then we're missing the whole point,
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing that I think at first I thought, I knew this was really big as soon as the UFOs started coming to me. And I thought, just document this, and then helping with disclosure. Then as I developed an intimate relationship with them, and they were like my sensei, they were teaching me all kinds of things. And anybody can do this. Anybody can, if you just put, some time and nurture that connection. We can all connect to a higher power, and there are many cosmic beings that are available to help us right now. And that's kind of my mission, has merged from just disclosure to teaching people how to make contact and develop that, within themselves.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a crucial next step right now. Because the information, like you said, it only gets you so far, and a lot of it's distracting. So
exactly.
Yeah, I don't even really like watch anybody else, honestly. I just want to like meditate on it and see it for myself first.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
I mean, like there's a balance there though. Like knowing like what's going on is important also, even though it's surface level stuff, like just an awareness so you can kind of gauge what's happening on the world stage. But then
generally, at least, you don't need to know every detail
Right.
of what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, and everybody has a piece to the puzzle too. We all have a piece to the puzzle.
Right.
Just like I never heard anybody else talk about the Native American inner Earth. That's something that I had already like picked up on, and then you guys just mentioned that somebody else, experienced that. So that's just friggin' awesome. We all have a piece of the puzzle.
Right. Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
So you recently, we actually met you in person for the first time at our conference, and the conference was amazing. I'd like to get your thoughts on your experience, because I know it was your first conference, and it was also your first introduction to the secret space program material, this information. So what was that like, the conference, and then discovering like the secret space program side of things?
Well, it definitely blew my mind. So it was, the conference was beautiful. It was at a really beautiful place. And it was honestly like kind of weird being around so many other people who were so cool and like that I could actually talk to. So that was really nice. I meet a lot of people over the internet, but not too, usually I'm the one who is kind of teaching people about this stuff. And then like walking through the conference, I was hearing and learning things like left and right. It was really cool.
Right. Yeah.
So that was awesome being around, other people just on this journey. And the secret space program, I didn't know exactly what it was. So that was just kind of like shocking hearing how deep it goes, and meeting people with, testimonies of what's going on. And it actually, I started to become kind of like triggered during the conference. And I was like, whoa, like, I don't think that this has happened to me, but something had. And then that night I had a vision of a Pleiadian girl with bright blue eyes and blonde hair. And I got, this was me from another lifetime. And then later on that night, I saw a Pleiadian man and woman, the parents. And I wasn't sure exactly what had happened there. But after the conference, I realized in that life, I had been involved in this stuff. And it just goes way deeper and further than what I ever would have expected. So, and now kind of signs and synchronicities are popping up left and right. So I think it's very important. This information is very important. And I think many of us have had a part in this more than what we would expect.
Right.
Yeah,
so you've
definitely,
from what I understand, just talking to you, you've been having some like revelations surrounding this topic lately, and remembering stuff. And you recently hit your head and had a concussion, but you said that was like a catalyst for like unlocking stuff. Can you explain that? Because it's interesting.
Yeah. So during the conference, like I already felt like something was happening. I wasn't sure if it was just being around so many other like-minded people that are in such, that are raising their consciousness and being able to access more of this information. But I just knew there was something churning and moving around, and it motivated me to want to remember more. And so something was already kind of going on. The day after we get back from the conference, we go to lunch. Tyler and Aaron and me, we go to lunch, and I ended up falling down and getting a bad concussion and having to go to the hospital. And it was just out of the blue. But I knew that from that, it was supposed to bring up more memories. And there was one of the speakers at the conference had been talking about how their memories started coming back after they got into an accident and got a bad concussion. And I had just heard that a few days prior. And then as they were meditating, all of these things started coming in. So I just thought that was really interesting. And I knew that that's what was starting to happen. So since we got back from the conference, a bunch of stuff has just started coming up. I don't want to say too much because I'm still kind of like unraveling it, but it's a lot deeper and bigger than I thought. Like some of the people,
really?
I know you guys, some of you guys from before, and there's a deeper connection there.
Yeah, right. And that's one of the commonalities that a lot of people who had experience in these programs or whatever it is, you recognize people from like a parallel life or another lifetime, whatever it is. And then now you want to know how you recognize them. And then these memories come back. And that's where all the exploring and the digging comes into play. And then you realize the connections you have with all these people, you understand why it's so deep now. And when you go to places like these conferences, why everyone's just connecting and you feel like you know these people already, because you literally do know them already.
You do.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
Right.
Yeah. I've also found out since I got back that I thought this all started whenever COVID started. I thought, it was some sort of like an agreement to wake me up at this time. Mm-hmm. I had always known that there was something more, though. I was drawing Lyrans at like age 9 and loved space. Nice. So I know there was like a deep connection there, but I didn't think, people have asked me all the time what the amount of close encounters and just experiences that I've had, have you ever been abducted, or has this happened since childhood? And, I thought it started whenever COVID happened, but since the conference, I found out that I have been visited as a child. And there's actually a memory where my mom had told me about this, and I just remembered it after the concussion. So as I was a child, I was like 3 or 4 years old. My mom comes downstairs in the middle of the night and comes into the kitchen. It's dark in the kitchen, and I'm standing there in my nightgown at like 3 or 4. And I'm pointing to the wall and I say, they just went right through there. And then I start looking for them, and was like looking under the table, looking around for whatever. My mom, it creeped her out because she thought it was paranormal or something. What are you talking about? A ghost? It was just really, really weird. And now I realize that it actually was extraterrestrials. And so I'm learning more about that, and that I have had contact, very intimate contact in previous lifetimes as well with these higher dimensional beings and ETs. So all that plus the SSP stuff is all starting to come to the surface since this conference and the concussion.
Wow. So guys, if you're trying to unlock your memories, just go slam your head against a brick wall and see what happens. No,
head really hard and see what happens.
Yeah, seriously.
It always seems to be a lot of these people who come forward, there's some sort of catalyst like that, an MRI or concussion or surgery. Something happens in that person's life, in that individual's life, that triggers these memories, and it's their life is never the same. Like all of this stuff that even since COVID, like has changed your life dramatically. I'm sure of it. Like what does that look like? Because have you had to shed like an old version of yourself getting into all this?
Oh my God. Yeah. Huge ego death. Yeah. I still am a nutritionist, but before this, I was teaching nutrition and health classes, cooking classes for a local, for a university and around the community. And I knew that I was going to change the world. I wanted to start and fuel a revolution for nutrition and mental health. And I was making content on that. I had a larger following on that than I do with this stuff. And whenever the UFOs started coming, I knew this was big. And I literally dropped everything. And now I realize that the revolution is still happening, and we're all part of it, but it's just a little bit different of a revolution than I was anticipating.
Right.
But yeah, it's been very, very, very life-changing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're doing great.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
I mean, I know like this is just the beginning for all of us. As long as we've all been into this, like this is just the beginning of what we're about to discover and tap into and even see, experience.
Yeah, big things are coming for sure. Very big things. And especially after meeting you guys in person. Yeah, I can feel it. Things are starting to come together. The right people are coming together. The right things, just things are being discovered. more memories are coming to the surface, and it's just really wild. This is just the beginning, and it's going to be really, really big. And I've seen visions of I think the UFOs coming down, and the contact experiences are they're going to get much more dramatic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, it's some exciting times ahead, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some of your footage and some of your sightings. First of all, like, did you receive any backlash when you started posting this stuff, like from skeptics? Like, were people trying to say it's drones or Starlink? Like, what kind of backlash have you come across?
I've definitely, people have said, like, you're crazy, you need some help, or that's just whatever, every excuse in the book. But I've actually did get a lot of people that have reached out to me, and they said, like, your footage is some of the best I've ever seen. And so it's been a mixed bag. And as I've kind of gone more into the star being specific kind of like channelings, people are more open-minded to that. But yeah, the UFO stuff can be kind of tough. But
depends on the platform too. You said TikTok is pretty rough just because of whatever reason.
Yeah, it can be really good, or it can be really rough.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if it's rough, that means you're triggering people, you're getting information is reaching a new audience, so it's good.
Yeah, exactly. As you it's a good sign whenever you're starting to get some hate.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Exactly.
Well, then that means we're blessed.
Usually means you're over the target. It usually means you're on the right track if you're getting all of.
So I can share my screen and show you guys.
Yeah, walk us through some of this footage, because it is incredible. Like, some of it's like, wow, like that one Rubik's Cube thing you showed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just like a picture of the Andromeda guy that I took. I'm just showing you guys some of my astrophotography.
Oh, wow.
So this is the type of astrophotography that I did. That's Orion's Nebula. And here's the Pleiades star cluster.
Wow.
So there's some of my just astrophotography, and so this is a really good one. This is one of my best ones.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a close up of a ship. This is during a CE5 contact in the middle of the day, in the middle of a park.
Wow, that's incredible.
So
like was this light?
Explain
this, how this came about, how you saw this, and this whole.
So I'll show you guys so this is the picture of it zoomed out. You can see it up here.
Oh, okay.
So that other photo was zoomed in. So what I did is this is while I was connecting with them every sunset, and we kind of had a mutual agreement, like I'd ask them to appear on camera, and a lot of time they would, and in different ways. This was actually like a really good ship. A lot of the time they can come in orbs. So this is a really good one. But so I just set up a time lapse where I'm taking consecutive photos. And then I got in front of it, in front of the camera, and started meditating. And then they appeared. I got them in 3 photos. This is the only one from this time that I have in this folder, but yeah, and then I checked back the footage, and there it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The other picture is a little bit better. I'll go to that one.
Was this one of them that you figured out who this was? Did you?
I believe these were Syrian. Were from Sirius. But honestly, I've seen so many different ETs. So kind of like the Lyrans, the light blue skin people, they were with me for a long while, but I've also seen so many other ones, Arcturians. Right. So I think I'm just kind of like a UFO magnet. And
you are.
I wonder if this looks more like of an intelligent consciousness craft as opposed to a physical craft. Or is
it's like just moving, kind of like it's like morphing. In the 3 pictures that I caught of it changes its shape.
Really?
Yeah. The first picture, it looks more kind of like an orb or just something starting to manifest. So this thing popped in and out of the reality, I believe, in and out of our dimension, or cloaked and then uncloaked for just a few frames. So it was only visible for a few seconds. But yeah, a lot of them, they change shape too.
Wow, that's incredible.
So this is with a night vision camera.
That before, yeah.
During a CE5 contact, and an orb comes up from down here. Shit.
Oh yeah, I see it moving.
Yep, there it is.
Wow. Does it come back?
I do a replay.
Oh, okay.
Can you guys hear it? My voice?
No.
Oh,
No.
it's funny.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what is that?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's straight up.
Do you have the video where there's like I think it's daytime and through the trees, and there's
the Rubik's
lights
Cube
that kinda
one?
Yeah, I got that one in here too.
Yeah,
so
that
they
one's
would also
amazing.
come to me in other ways like that, especially during the day. So that what I just showed you guys was from a live CE5, a group CE5 that I hosted on TikTok. I used to do them like every Thursday night. And that's what we got. This is a daytime.
Yeah. This one's my favorite.
Yeah, this one.
And you have
This
to,
one's crazy. So a lot of the time they would come as like orbs of light. Sometimes you can only see them in the sun. So I got some of them. There were tons of orbs this day. I felt this day, like I labeled it on the folder as the day I realized the power within, because I just felt there was just a lot of, they were giving me downloads like crazy that day, and they appeared on camera like crazy that day. So it was just very, very powerful and profound. So I'll go ahead and play it, and then you'll see like a Rubik's Cube, an orb appear, and it's like kind of like a Rubik's Cube looking thing, some multi-dimensional thing. And you can see other orbs by the sun.
yeah.
Yep.
There it is.
Right. And you have to slow that down too, because that's like in slow motion. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, here it goes.
It's incredible. It's like it's like
incredible.
tumbling almost.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's changing shape.
Yeah, it's like tumbling.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's impressive. We see footage all the time, but that one in particular, I was like, wow, that's something. Like that's really cool. I mean, everything
That's
you've
one of the
shown us, but yeah.
Yeah.
I've ever seen, yeah.
Yeah, I probably have more orbs and stuff like that too. I need to finish going through that specific day, because that day was just crazy. This is a light beam that I've caught.
Oh yeah. This is
just
incredible.
right in front of my face.
Yeah. This is right in your room.
So what compelled you to take that photo?
A lot of it is just kind of like a ding, take a picture. Like
Really?
Yeah, so this was an old classroom whenever I was teaching nutrition and health that I had been working on.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been down there in a while, and I went down there. I was meditating a lot at the time, and I could feel them around me, almost like all the time, really. I could feel them around me, and I just went into that room, and I just got the nudge to take a picture. I didn't actually see this until like a couple weeks later. I was like, whoa. But I felt their presence. This is the only time I've gotten them on camera like this, though, but hopefully more to come.
Right.
But you can see like rainbows.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know, like I feel like you can feel like an energy signature coming from that. It's powerful.
Yep.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I want to post more of my footage on YouTube. I do have a little bit, but I want to post more of it, because they told me while I was going out and taking these pictures and recording them every day, that the light codes, the energy signature coming from the footage is very activating. And it would even, looking back on my pictures, my ears would start ringing and I would feel something. So even from just looking at this footage, it does something to you.
Mm-hmm. That's a great
Absolutely.
point. Thank you for bringing that up. I've heard that mentioned before, but we forget about stuff like that, you know, like you don't understand what, well, and that just proves how everything that you view is affecting your vibration, the good and the bad stuff. But all right, next one. These are awesome.
So this, this is this was from my second encounter ever. So this ship was probably maybe 60 feet in front of me behind like a couple of trees. So this time, this was my second encounter. I was at an astronomy park by myself, and around 1 o'clock in the morning, I was in my car. There's nothing around me besides cornfields. And suddenly just UFOs began to appear, and they were in every direction. And I didn't know if they knew that I was there. This is before my communication with them was, I didn't know who they were yet. And I spent the night up there recording them all night because I was afraid to leave at the time because I didn't know, or what they were, but I was fascinated and I was just recording them. So this one was in front of me, in the trees in front of me, and you can see a light beam appears from right there.
So was this like a triangle craft, or were these three separate individual?
I'm not 100% sure. I did take some photos of it too. I need to see how it's really hard because it's like the photos, it looks different in the photos. Like even from one photo to the next, it's like morphing and like phasing in and out. Yeah. So I don't know exactly 100% what it looks like. Like in some of the photos, there were more lights down here. In other photos, I don't know, it looked different in a lot of the photos.
Yeah, let's play this. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it gave me a light beam.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let me try and get that down.
I mean, it's literally a beam of light. It's not just
beam.
And it's directed in one direction. So it's not, Yeah,
it's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Literally a beam of light, just how they say in the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
A beam of a light. Yeah, it's wild. I can also show you guys. So this is another CE5. I really like whenever they show up whenever I'm in the picture too, because I think it's just very poetic.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I was set the camera up. I was walking over towards the bench and they appeared in just one photo out of this time lapse. And it looks like they, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like a portal or like a rip or something. And then there's just two black triangles there. And there was nothing else in any of the photos. And I've taken these photos a second apart. So it just appeared for a second. Yeah.
Just for a second. Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. Is if you, for evidence reasons, always take 3 photos in a row, because a lot of times you capture stuff that's only there for a split second. So it'll be in one photo and not the one surrounding it, which gives it more validity.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because if this would have been anything else, you would have seen it, coming down, or it was just literally just in this one photo.
Right.
So time lapses are good for that.
That's awesome. Is that are you on Main Street there? Is that the Missouri River?
No, I was at a place called Lakeside Park.
Oh, Lakeside 370?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there a bunch of times. My parents
I used to go up there every day. I was doing CE5 up there every day. And I'm like, nobody knows that I'm capturing orbs and talking to aliens right now. Nobody knows.
Good. Keep it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is this one?
So this is my first CE5 I ever did. So it's all cloudy. You couldn't even see the sky at all. And this golden orb appeared. I think there were, some other ones, but it was mainly this one bright one. And this is the one that sent me a telepathic vision of the lady with blue skin.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Nice. As you get closer, it almost looks like, it could be the pixelation of the
Yeah.
photograph also, but
You do see some like squigglies and different.
right. That's why I'm wondering if that's just from the actual fuzziness of the photo or if that's organic with it. But it definitely, that's pretty impressive. That's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
That
There's like a
is.
little dip right there too.
Yeah. That's the door.
It's not a perfect circle. You say it's a door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you see these orbs, like, that's what I'm talking about. Some of these might be like a highly sophisticated craft that could appear physical if it needed to. But they probably are able to traverse long distances and other dimensions, maybe even universes, by being a craft of that nature, like a light ship almost.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them do come like that. And the vision that I saw from this, and this looks small. I was like, how is this like a UFO? Nobody could fit in there. Not that, that I know. Maybe they can, though. Maybe they can shrink themselves down. But the vision that it sent me, the woman, I think she was projecting her consciousness through this golden orb and controlling it that way. The woman that I saw was laying down on a table with her eyes closed. And then there was crew members standing behind her, about 5 crew members standing behind her. So I think she was concentrating or maybe meditating or controlling this some way. I didn't feel like she was dead or unconscious. I think she was controlling this orb somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most likely, if that's your feeling, I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
I do see. Go back to that really quick, please.
There are a couple other ones.
Yeah. So hold it right there. So there's we'll back it up a little bit. Actually, they're easier to see as it's farther.
Mm-hmm.
So I see almost 3 of them, like to the right, like lined up almost.
Yeah. So this one was like the main one. And then I do believe that there were other,
right,
other ones that appeared. And it was really interesting because I asked, because I had a feeling that there was more. And I asked, I didn't ask them, but I said, I wish that the clouds would go away so I could see see more. And then the clouds started going away. And I was like, whoa. But then with the stars, it kind of made it harder to see. But I think that there were other ones there. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I've been 2 separate places where we've had the clouds part like that. And just like, it was so intentional, it was pretty wild.
It's pretty cool. It doesn't hurt to ask.
Exactly.
Definitely doesn't hurt to ask. Yeah. I think that's about it that I have on here. Here's a drawing that I did of a Pleiadian woman that I connected with, and she gave me a message for humanity, and mostly just focusing on raising your vibration and focusing inward and not allowing outer distractions and stuff like that. Creating that connection within yourself. I haven't read it. I wrote it on the back of the page. I don't remember exactly what it says, but that was the gist of it.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
I made a video on YouTube and where I read it too. But yeah, she's beautiful. She actually had brown hair, not the blonde how a lot of the Pleiadians look. So
oh wow.
Yeah, I thought that I was assuming blonde, I guess, for the way it's depicted. I was like, it kind of looks like Ivanka Trump.
Yeah, kind of does. You're right.
But she's not blonde. That's not a blonde. Wow. So that's crazy. And like you said, you haven't even gone through all of it. Like there's still so many more.
I spent months going through because I realized that especially whenever they come as orbs, it can be hard to or easy to miss them. So you kind of have to comb through. I still have folders and folders that I should be looking into.
Right.
Nice.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty more to come. Wow. I mean, this.
And we're speechless.
Right. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to bring up.
It's been
go from there. Been fun times. I would suggest actually, so the daytime orbs, I've suggested this to some people if you wanted to try it for yourself, just making contact or seeing if anything would appear. Pointing it towards the sun, I've had them appear that way too. The first time I tested it out, I just said, I had a feeling that they were there and I was like, Star Family, are you there? I was recording the sun. And then whenever I played it back, you could see all these little orbs just came across, and I asked them to like make a triangle in one, and they did. So somehow they can also appear in these little like light ships that are more visible in the sun. So if you'd like to try pointing at the sun and taking a picture and see what happens.
There could be like a trick of light there that allows them to be visible where they normally wouldn't be. And I know you mentioned on a previous interview, like just because you can't see them doesn't mean they aren't there. So pay attention to how you're feeling in that moment. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Our visible light spectrum is like that small out of like we can barely see anything. Trust your gut, trust your feelings. And often you may have just like a warm feeling in your heart, and it used to make me cry all the time. Now I've gotten a little bit more used to it, but it's just a very loving, like pure feeling. So if suddenly you get hit with that, there's definitely, something around or giving you these higher frequencies and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, I have been hit with that before. I do know that feeling when they're around. I'm different in the aspect or in the regard to like, I never think about photographing them. Even when I'm outside sky watching, it's never my intention to capture footage. I'm just always looking for the experience.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm starting to think of maybe it's time, like it would be okay if I did it with intention. I didn't want to go out there with the wrong intention. Like some people want to go capture footage so they can become popular and they probably won't see anything, And that's why whenever there's CE5 and those type of people are there, like nothing happens until that group gets smaller and smaller. And then the pure intent people are there. So
yeah, it's just your intent.
Right.
Yeah, that matters.
Yeah, even like now, so that was like my thing. I was going out and my friend said, I think they expect that you're going to be filming them. I think that was this kind of like my thing. But more recently, I've just wanted to be more in the moment, but and not, worrying about catching it on camera. But yeah, and you can always ask them. Some people say that whenever they appear or they've had an experience, they get the feeling like, don't pull out your phone, don't pull out your camera. So you can always ask permission, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that because you have to ask yourself, why do you want to? I mean, maybe you want to capture it for yourself to go back and look and make sure you're not crazy. But at the same time, like if you want an experience, or if you want a sighting or contact, just so you can tell somebody else about it and like feed your ego because you're the one who's having these experiences, that's the wrong mindset to have. So I think if you're truly out there just trying to communicate just out of curiosity and from the heart, that's where all this stuff happens.
Exactly. From the heart.
Right.
Exactly.
So can you let people know where, I already mentioned it earlier, but let people know how to find you, and you offer sessions, I believe, correct?
Yeah. So I do star origins readings, where, I go into meditation. I'll tell you, star connection, star origins, connect with or communicate with your guides, or sometimes I see actual ET beings that you're connected with. And I also do YouTube. I'm sharing a lot of my evidence and story, CE5 story, just spiritual journey that this has taken me on. I do meditations on YouTube on Sundays, meditations and activations, and sharing that on YouTube at Lily Nova Starseed, and on Instagram and TikTok as well as lilynova.in.space.
And you like your TikTok channel and your Instagram channel. So where do you primarily, are you only doing the meditations on YouTube, or do you do anything on the other ones?
Yeah. So before I was primarily TikTok, and recently I just kind of started YouTube a couple months ago, and I'm focusing on that for the most part. So I'm doing the lives on YouTube. I'm also posting on Instagram more. So kind of Instagram and YouTube is where I'm mostly at right now. I'm sure
Right.
I will get back into TikTok.
Well,
But
the reason I mentioned that is just so people know that like following you on different platforms is different, you know.
yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And the meditation thing is key. You know, a few episodes ago, the Navy whistleblower, he was talking about, if anything, we should all be meditating daily, like mass meditation. Like he was explaining how effective that is, and which we already knew, but it was just a great reminder. And we might even, we get guys who are listening to this, we have something in the works. We might be doing some sort of a meditation thing on our channel, a guided meditation. But we're messing with that. But stay tuned, because yeah, I think more and more moving forward, we have to shift our focus into that. And
Yeah, exactly. One of the big things that they've been telling me, you know, I always ask them for advice and guidance, the star beings, and it's one of the things they've been really pushing was the singing bowls and the meditation, the live meditations. It's so powerful whenever you get together in a group, and we've even had orbs come up behind. So we have beings there with us while we're meditating, and yeah, it's just very, very powerful.
right, yeah, and it's literally like it's a gunshot to the dark, you know, like it definitely is. I can't even think of what I'm trying to say, but the dark ones don't like it when you do that. There you go.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. 100%.
Right. And I think that's part of the reason they want us to do that so much, because we don't realize, like, we constantly are like I said earlier, we're getting angry because nothing's happening. Like, when are things going to change? When is this going to happen? But if we all started doing this more, right?
Exactly.
It's going to create a ripple effect, and it's going to change. It's based on our collective consciousness. So if we're constantly thinking that the evil is still ruling the planet, it's going to rule the planet until we change our mindset, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big part of what the being that I showed you guys, the Pleiadian, that was a lot of what she was saying is don't get distracted and feed all of the fear and the negativity. You change it within yourself and it will create a ripple effect.
Right. Absolutely.
That's so true.
Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything, sharing your experiences. Guys, go follow her, check out her stuff. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more footage to come. Just like I said, you're only at the beginning of this, and it'd be interesting to see what you unpack as far as like SSP stuff goes, because there's a whole nother world there to explore. So
sure is. It sure is. Right. Well, thank you guys so much for having me on, and it was wonderful meeting you guys and attending the conference as well. You guys are awesome. You threw a beautiful conference, and I'm excited to see where this goes and it's just awesome seeing everybody coming together like this.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And guys, just a reminder, don't forget, we are giving away a 6-pack of the OMNIA radiation balancers. All you have to do is email us at journeytotruthpodcast@gmail.com with your name and phone number, and we will get back to you in a few days and let you know if you won. So go ahead and do that if you missed the beginning of the episode where I announced that. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you so much for the love and support. Everything since the conference has been amazing. Oh, by the way, there was a Dutch film crew at our conference who was filming a episode for a docuseries, and that just released yesterday, I think 2 days ago, whenever. And it's pretty awesome. You know, a lot of people say
that the link in the description.
Right. Yeah. We'll put the link in the description. What you have to do to watch it is download a VPN. You need to get a VPN and set it to the Netherlands, because it's a Dutch film. So if you want to watch it, it's super easy. You can find a free VPN and just set it for Netherlands. I used Proton VPN. If you guys are just looking for one, just type that in. They even have an app, and set it to Netherlands, and then you can just click the link and watch it. It's like an hour long, and honestly, they did a really good job. I thought it was pretty awesome the way they depicted the whole thing, and they didn't really make fun of it or ridicule it. Like apparently that channel has been known to do that. But they didn't. It was done very respectfully, and I highly recommend checking it out. It was awesome. Thank you all for the donations, your support, your love. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up? No.
Me or Lily?
Either one of you.
Yeah. No. We are disclosure, guys. We are the ones.
Right.
Remember that.
Exactly. All right, guys. Have a great evening, and we will see you next time.